Very good morning to all my viewers. I welcome you once again. Today I'm going to take up your chapter, The Third Level, written by Jack Finney from your Vistas textbook. Now, children, I would like to tell you the main concept of this particular chapter is the time travel. Before I proceed, I would like to ask you, how many of you have seen Doraemon, the cartoon show, or the Alice in Wonderland? I would like to ask you, have you read the previous year's chapter of class 11th, The Adventure? You might remember Gangadhar Pant, who was the protagonist of the story, was transported into a parallel world. So, my dear students, this chapter also we are going to, enjoy the mystery, the thrill, the adventure in this particular chapter as we would be proceeding further. Now, I would like to tell you, I would be covering the areas like the thoughts about the author. Then I would be talking about the theme of the chapter, characters involved in this story, explanation, as well as few questions I would be dealing with. So, let us begin with this. So, about the author, Walter Braden Finney. He was born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and lived in California. He attended his college in Galesburg, Illinois, and he studied in Knox College. He wrote both short stories as well as novels. His famous novel is The Invasion of Body Snatchers, in which aliens land on the earth from outer space and take over human bodies. He was specialized in thriller and science fictions. His eminent works are The Body Snatchers, very famous. It was a complete science fiction. Next, Time and Again. This deals with time travel, again related to the concept of time travel. The Clock of Time. Fourth one, I Love Galesburg in the Springtime. And the last is The Third Level. He was an American author. He was born in the year 1911 and died in the year 1995. Children, with this, I would like to move to the theme of the chapter. He says, modern world is full of insecurity, war, grief, fear, unhappiness, and so everybody wants to escape it. Now let me introduce you to the characters of the story. The first one is Charlie. He is the main protagonist of the story. He is 31 years old commuter of the city. Now children, what do you mean by commuter? It means one who moves from one place to another, okay, for his work. The second main character is Louisa, wife of Charlie, the main character of the story. The third character is Sam Werner. He is a psychiatrist and a very close friend of Charlie. Got it, children? Now, children, I would like to tell you, in this chapter, Charlie, the main protagonist of this story, or the main character of this particular chapter, he narrates the story in the days of 1950. The days of 1950 are related to the modern world, which is full of insecurity, fear, sadness, problems, okay? And he finds that when a person's desires remain unfulfilled, expectations and dreams remain unfulfilled, and thus they try to escape from reality. Got it, children? Now, what problem Charlie had? How was he transported to the third level? Now, children, before proceeding to my explanation, I would like to tell you something about GCT. Now, what is this GCT? GCT is Grand Central Railway Station of New York. Okay, children? Now, I would like to tell you, Grand Central Railway Station of New York, it has only two levels, the lower level and the upper level. It is the world's largest Grand Central Railway Terminal of New York. Okay. Third level denotes the time period of the year 1894. So, in this chapter, Charlie, the main character, he travels the time from 1950 to 1894. Okay? In this chapter, we are going to learn in the story how did he reach the third level and what happened as this railway station of New York have only two levels, that is the lower level and the upper level. Then how did Charlie, the main character, experienced and visited the third level of Grand Central Railway Station? Okay, before proceeding ahead, I would like to introduce you to the Grand Central Terminal and give you brief information about it. Children, this station is located on 42nd Street, Park Avenue in Midtown, Manhattan, New York. The area occupied is around 49 acres. It has 44 platforms with 67 tracks, and it is used by more than 1 million people a week. It generally has a busy schedule. It has 47 tracks on upper level and 26 tracks on the lower level. There is no way mentioned that there is the third level existing on the Grand Railway Station of New York. Now, children, it is the world's largest railway station. Now, before I proceed towards the explanation, I would like to tell you that Charlie, he was a dweller of US. Now, what do you mean by dweller? Dweller means a resident. रहने वाले थे US के, okay? And he used to commute every day to his office and come back home in the evenings every day. So thus he was known as a commuter. With this, I would like to begin with the detailed explanation of the story of this chapter. The story begins with the mention of a third level of GCT, which actually has only 2 levels, but the protagonist of the story, Mr. Charlie, he says he had experienced the third level at the Grand Central Railway Station. So as the story would proceed, we would come to know how did Charlie visit the third level. So now Charlie himself is very much aware that even if the presidents of the New York Central and the New York, New Havens and Hartford railroads talk about this existence of the levels, they will also take an oath on a stack of timetables, on a pile of timetables. Stack means collection of something. Okay, of timetables means schedule showing the arrival and departure of the trains, because they are always concerned about their country. So he says even the presidents of all these, places, they would be able to swear and, prove that there are only 2 levels existing at Grand Central Terminal. But Charlie, the protagonist, says there are 3 because he had been on the third level of the Grand Central Station. He says he had visited and experienced the third level of the Grand Central Railway Station. Now I say there are. I here refers to Charlie. Okay? Yes, I have taken the obvious step. Now what do you mean by this context, obvious step? Obvious step means when everybody began to swear and tell that there are only 2 levels, the upper level and the lower level, of railway lines or the stations at the Grand Central Railway Station, then Charlie decided to go and meet his psychiatrist friend named Sam Venner. So obvious step is what? Going to consult his friend who is a psychiatrist. Then he says, I talked to a psychiatrist friend of mine. He went and consulted his friend, whose name was Sam Venner, and many others. He spoke about this, his visit to the third level, to the psychiatrist friend as well as many other people. I told him about the third level at Grand Central Station. Now he says he had spoken about his visit to the third level, that he had experienced the third level there. He had shared his experience to his friend Sam Venner. And his friend, he said, who said? Sam Venner, his friend said. He here refers to Sam Venner. What did he say? It was a waking dream with wish fulfillment. It was a waking dream, wish fulfillment. Now, what does it here refers to? It here refers to Charlie's visit to the third level. Okay? Now he says Charlie visiting the third level, it was simply a waking dream wish fulfillment. So that was only to fulfill his desire or to run away from the existing situations which are full of worry, tensions, anxieties, wars, problems. And thus, just to escape that, he had, been in an illusion and visited the third level. And the other reason Charlie says his psychiatrist friend had given him regarding this is, Sam said, I was unhappy. The other reason the doctor had given was that Charlie was unhappy, and due to it, he had been in illusion or hallucination, and thus he had been to the third level. That made listening to the explanation of the doctor, my wife was kind of mad. He says, listening to the explanation of his friend Sam Weiner's, confession regarding this, or whatever he has told him about his problem, his wife was very upset listening to it. But he explained that, Sam Van explained that he meant the modern world is full of insecurity, fear, war, worry, and all the rest of it, and that I just want to escape. That Charlie says, my friend Sam Weiner added while he was, explaining to me regarding the existing problem of my life, Sam Weiner told Charlie that because the modern world here refers to the age of 1950, which is full of insecurity, wars, fear, tensions, war, worry, all the anxieties and the rest of other problems. And due to that, he just wanted to escape the existing problems, and thus he had, in his imagination, he had visited the third level. Then Charlie, stated, well, who doesn't? Who doesn't like to escape from problems? Everybody I know wants to escape. He says, why not? Who would like to live in such a situation where there is warfare, where there is worry, tension, anxieties, full of problems and troubles? Everyone would love to escape from such an environment. Everybody I know wants to escape, but they don't wander down into any third level at Grand Central Station. Then he says, when I gave this response to the doctor that who would not like to escape from such situations? So what wrong is it if I had escaped and tried to get into a better place or a better existing environment? So I don't think so there's anything wrong. But he says, what did Sam say? He said, but none goes to the third level at Grand Central Station. He says, none wanders. This is all your fantasy. What did he say? This is your fantasy, your hallucination that you had visited the third level. But that's the reason, he said, and my friends all agreed. That's the reason. Now, children, what do you mean by this context? That's the reason. That's the reason here is that means Charlie is not happy with the existing situations because that is full of troubles, fear, war, unhappiness, and that's the reason. He said, and my friends also agreed. He said that as Sam Weiner had given him this explanation, and thus all Charlie's friends also agreed to the views of his psychiatrist friend, who was, a doctor who treated illness of, or you can say, the specialization in mental illness he had. Now, everything points to it, they claimed. Now, Charlie says, even all my friends, they claimed. They here refers to his friends. It here is the existing problem that Charlie is facing. He's saying all the views pointed out towards the existing problem. Thus, they claimed that, Charlie had the hobby of collecting stamps, which is known as philately. So, they all claimed, even his friends claimed that, along with the psychiatrist, that Charlie's habit of pursuing stamp collection, that is also a temporary refuge. That is also to escape from the realities of the world. Then Charlie says, well, maybe, but my grandfather didn't need any refuge from reality. He says, my grandfather, whose grandfather? Charlie's grandfather, also pursued the hobby of collecting stamps. He's saying he wanted to defend himself, so he's trying to put a stronger point. He says even his grandfather used to collect stamps. But I don't think so that my grandfather needed any escape from the reality, because his grandfather lived in the period 1894 in Galesburg, and is saying in 1894 people had ample of time. There was happiness, there was joy. They have not faced even the wars during that period. So, there was peace all around. And so, what was the requirement there for my grandfather to run away from realities? So, thus he says, from all I hear, and he started my collection. Thus he says, and whatever collection he is doing, he had got this. Then he had adopted this hobby of collecting stamps from his grandpa. And thus he says, collection of stamps of philately is an amazing collection. And he says, his grandfather used to collect in blocks of 4 of practically every US issue. Every stamp that was issued in US, his grandfather had blocks of 4 of every stamp, that was issued by US. And along with this, he had the collection of first day covers too. Now, children, I would explain to you what is this first day covers as I proceed ahead. Okay? Then, to make his logic and his point more stronger, he talks about President Roosevelt, the 32nd president of US, okay, who was in power from 1933 till his death 1945. So thus, to make his point stronger, he says even President Roosevelt collected stamps, So now, from here, Charles, so this is how he talks about his, the hallucination or the illusion or the fantasy world that Charlie lived in, and how he had a discussion about his problem to his friend, and what response his friend Sam Vanner had given him regarding the existing problem in his life. He said because the modern world is full of wars, problems, existing tensions, and that's the reason he is only trying to run away, from the realities of the world. In other words, you can call it as hallucination. And the other reason he had given him that he was unhappy, and thus listening to all these things, his wife was a little upset, and she did not like the explanation that his psychiatrist friend has given regarding his problem. He further added, maybe due to the burden of all modern problems that is pushing him to experience the No, the apparent perception of something that's not present. Now, what do you mean by apparent? Seeming real and true, but not true. What do you mean by apparent? Apparent means everything appears to be real and true, but it is not exactly true. This is what is hallucination. So that is not present. So he tends to escape from the reality. Charlie agrees to what his friend had to say, but he still found it a bit odd. But still he was not able to, make himself realize that whatever he had seen at the third level, was it his only imagination, or was it his apparent perception visiting the third level? So now Charlie begins to believe in the possibility that he has been experiencing all this to escape the realities of the modern world. Now his friends agreed to Sam Warner's explanation of Charlie's problem. Even his stamp collection is a sort of asylum. Asylum means ASYLUM. It is also a refuge in order to feel protected. In those days, they had not seen the consequences of wars, and there was peace, harmony, and security in Galesburg when his grandfather lived there. And he says that during those days, life was very peaceful. People had ample of time. The collection was amazing, with blocks of 4 of every US issue. Along with this, he even had the collection of first day covers. Thus, to make his point stronger, he says even the President Roosevelt, who was the 32nd President of US, he too pursued philately. Now from here, from this, paragraph onwards, Charlie is going to describe how he had been, how it happened that he visited the GCT terminal, the third level of the GCT terminal. So he begins here by narrating, anyway, here's what happened at Grand Central. Thus he says, now he's describing what had happened at the Grand Central railway station. So he begins narrating. He says, here he starts to explain what exactly happened. Okay? He's saying, now one night he was late, and at his office due to additional work there, and thus he was in a hurry to get uptown to his apartment, so he decided to take the subway. So what did Charlie decide to do? He decided to go by subway from Grand Central because it's faster than the bus. Usually Charlie used to commute. He was a commuter. Charlie was a commuter. He used to do up and down either by bus or by any other conveyance. But as he was late in the office with some extra work to be completed, so after the completion of his work, now he wanted to reach his house to his wife who was waiting for him. So now rather than boarding the bus, he decided to take the subway. And now to take the subway, he has to go to the Grand Central Railway Station. Now, what are these subways? Subways are the underground railway lines there. Okay? Now he says, now I don't know why this should have happened to me. Now he says, I just can't explain why this has happened to him. What made him, reach the third level, and why this has happened only with him. He says that I'm just an ordinary man. Now here he's trying to introduce himself, children. He says he's an ordinary person and his name is Charlie. He's 31 years old, and he says on that particular day in the years of 1950, the present modern world, he was wearing, he's here describing his attire. He says he was wearing a tan gabardine suit and a straw hat with a fancy band. Now, what is this tan gabardine suit? Tan means a pale brown color. Gabardine means tight fitting suit. Okay? And a straw hat he was wearing. So, with a fancy band. He's saying, at that time, many pedestrians, many men who passed by, they all looked like me. It was not uncommon. Many people were wearing the similar attire. Many men wore the same attire and they were just like me. And I wasn't trying to escape from anything. He says he was not trying to run away from the realities of life. He's saying, and he only wanted to reach home to Louisa, his wife. So thus now from here, he is going to narrate the landmarks, how he reached the third level. So thus he says, I turned into, as he left his office, he directly turned into Grand Central Terminal from Vanderbilt Avenue. What is Vanderbilt Avenue? Vanderbilt Avenue is one of the cities of New York. He says from Vanderbilt Avenue, he got down the steps to the first level. Steps here means stairs. Stairs means siddiyan. So they were a flight of stairs which were going to the first level. Okay? So he didn't want to go to the first level because he wanted to go to the second level where you take trains like the 20th century. And first level, generally a person can board the trains of the 20th century. So then he's saying he walked down another flight. फिर उसको एक और सीढ़ियाँ दिखाई दी and he had to, move on those flights. He walked on those flights, trotted on them, and thus he reached the second level. And this is the place where the suburban trains leave from. And this is the place from where he can board those trains. These are both underground railway stations. And thus is saying, this is the place from where he can board the suburban trains. What are suburbans? These are the in between the city, the trains that move like the metros, suburban trains. Okay. So now as he was entering the second level, suddenly he saw one door. There was a doorway and that was in the shape of an arc. Okay. It was in the shape of an arc, ARCH, a half circle, you can call it. So, to get into that doorway, he had to duck his head, he had to bow his head, and thus he entered that doorway, heading towards the subway, and thus from that particular point, from this landmark, he lost himself. Okay? Here, this was the point. So, children, when he came from his office towards the Grand Central Railway Station, from Vanderbilt Avenue, from this place, he took the stairs which were going downwards and thus reached the first level. And this is the point, this is the landmark where the 20th century trains can be boarded. But he didn't want it to, reach the first level. Rather, he walked down the other flight of stairs to the second level. And at the second level, the suburban trains leave, the metros, which take them from one town to the other, all the nearby places. Okay? So now he says, and thus he got lost. That's easy to do. I have been in and out of Grand Central hundreds of times. Thus he says, see, it is nothing uncommon here. Being lost is a very common thing here because Grand Central Railway Station is very large. It's spread in a large area, so anyone can lose himself here. Now he is trying to twist or take just to twist his ideas here. So what is it saying? But I am always bumping into new doorways and stairs. And thus he says, I have been in and out of Grand Central hundreds of times. He's saying hundreds of times I have visited this railway terminal, but I have always bumped into, whenever I came here, I lost myself and always came across new doorways and stairs and corridors. Okay? So then he says, now he's explaining or sharing his experiences. He says, once I got into a tunnel. He's saying, once when I visited the Grand Central Railway Station, he had got into one huge tunnel which was a mile long, 1 mile long it was. And he's saying, when I entered into it and I came out into one of the lobbies. Okay? So he says, I came out to one of the lobbies of the Roosevelt Hotel. Then he says, when I came out of the tunnel, I directly approached the lobby of the Roosevelt Hotel. Then he expresses another incident. He says, another once again I had visited the Grand Central Railway Station. I came up in an office building on 46th Street. He's saying, once again I came and there was another outlet, and thus I came out in the office building of 46th Street, he says. Okay? So that means what he's trying to put up here, he's saying it's not something very unfamiliar. Losing oneself at Central Railway Station because it's very vast and with number of corridors and number of stairs there, number of rail lines. So any person can lose himself here. 46th Street, 3 blocks away. He's sharing his experiences. Now he says, sometimes he thinks. Now he is trying to, because he want to explain or describe the expanse or how far the railway station of New York is spread in how much area. Okay. Thus sometimes I think Grand Central is growing like a tree. Now Charlie says he thinks that now like a tree, he's comparing the new doorways, stairs and corridors that he comes across whenever he visits the railway station to a huge tree with enormous roots. He's saying Grand Central Station is also just like that huge tree with number of roots. And similar way, even Grand Central Station, it has number of doorways, number of stairs, number of corridors, whatnot, the huge buildings. So it's very common that anybody can get lost in this particular place. So he's meaning to say, whenever he visited the Central Railway Station, Grand Central Railway Station, he had always he came across new ways, and thus he's trying to express the vastness of the Grand Central Terminal. Okay, children, I hope this is clear. Now I would like to tell you, this is an important question here, children, a long question from I turned into Grand Central. You have to be well prepared with this complete paragraph and remember the landmarks. The narrator had used to reach the second level and how he was lost and what has happened after that. So now let's see further. Then he says, he feels or he imagines there are tunnels under this building, that is the Grand Central Railway Station, or under the New York City. So what he says, there are number of tunnels under the New York City. Okay? So that he want to say is that the Grand Central Railway Station was expanding at a fast rate. Okay, just like a tree with number of roots. Then he says that there is probably a long tunnel that nobody knows about feeling its way under the city right now. Then he says that it is no big deal that they even may be having a secret tunnel under the city, okay? Which city? Under the city of New York. So that he believes, he imagines that maybe it can be possible that the city, New York City, may be having underground tunnels too under his feet, and they may be leading to Times Square, and maybe another tunnel may be there which may be leading to Central Park. Okay, children? Then he says he feels it may be because of GCT is a place of exit. So what he feels? Anyway, because for so many people through the years, Grand Central has been an exit, a way of escape. He's saying maybe this particular terminal, this Grand Central Terminal, it may be an escape, an exit. Exit is to go out from the real world. It may be these tunnels which are underground, passing underground. These tunnels may be, the Times Square or maybe the Central Park. He feels it may be because GCT is a place of exit for innumerable people. He also, thus he says, maybe many people might have escaped from through these tunnels of Grand Central Railway Station, and is saying, I think he too had managed to escape reality because of same reason. Then he says, but I never told my psychiatrist friend about that idea. He's saying this idea that maybe the New York City having underground tunnels, and many people might have escaped through these tunnels to escape the real world, and they might have this in the fantasy world, whatever they might have imagined something. I think this is the tunnel through which even many other people might have escaped from reality. And he feels it may be because Grand Central Terminal is a place of exit for many people, and thus he also had managed to escape the real world because of the same reason, because it is full of tensions, wars, anxieties, right? So thus he says, but he had not spoken about this idea of about New York or the Grand Central Railway Terminal having, tunnels and underground tunnels. He's saying he only spoke to his friend Sam Werner about his visit to the third level, but he had not shared with him the idea of Grand Central Railway Station having some underground tunnels, which is a way of exit to innumerable people. Now children, see. From here, see that exit, what he had spoken about, the tunnels. From here begins a way to third level. Okay, from here we are going to learn how he reached the third level. Then he says, the corridor I was in began angling left and slanting downward. He's saying the unusual corridor that he had entered into, it began angling left. Now what do you mean by angling left? Angling left is nothing but the left direction. And slanting downward, and I thought that was wrong. And he thought, no, why is this direction again slanting downward? But for a moment he felt, no, he has entered the wrong corridor. But he's saying then he kept on walking. All he could hear was the empty sound of his own footsteps. And he didn't pass a soul. While he was getting through that corridor, he did not meet a single person passing through that corridor. He was all alone. A soul means not a single person there, or not even a spirit of a person. Then I heard that sort of hollow roar. He's saying I continued walking through it. Then he heard that hollow roar. Some distance in the open area. Hollow is nothing but an open area. At the end of the tunnel ahead, there was some open space, and he could hear the echoing of the people speaking or talking there. Now the tunnel turned sharp left. Then he took a left turn. I went down a short flight of stairs. He's saying the tunnel turned left direction. Then he's saying I took one flight of stairs. वहाँ पर सीढ़ियाँ थी. Then he went down through the stairs and he came out on the third level at Grand Central Station. Where did he reach? Now, thus he had reached the third level of Grand Central Station. He's, describing his experience of the third level. He's saying that for just a moment, he felt that he was at the second level. Then suddenly, when he had a look around, he was able to find some dissimilar. Okay? He was not able to find the similar things, the structures or the buildings or the people or the attire, that period in which he lived, 1950s. So when he had a look, what did he find? He was able to see the rooms were smaller, underline these lines. There were fewer ticket windows, train gates were different, and the information booth center, it was made of wood. And the building, the structure was looking old. And the man in the booth, the one who was sitting in the ticket counter, he was putting on green eye shade. What do you mean by eye shade? These are to protect your eyes. You wear your glasses. These are known as eye protectors. And he was wearing long black sleeve protectors. Now, what does he mean by long black sleeve protectors? When you drive a vehicle, what do you see, children? You generally see that most people who drive vehicles, they generally have their full sleeve gloves worn, okay? So thus that person, he was wearing black colored sleeve protectors, arm protectors, and he was able, these are the changes he could see, and he's describing what was different from the period where he lived, and when he reached the third level, what changes he could find there. So the lights were dim and sort of flickering, and the lights were going on and off. Flickering means moving about. Then I saw why. They were open flame gas lights. Then he, to have a keen look, he observed carefully, and thus he came to know that they had no protection, so they were flickering. There was no covering. The lights were opened, and due to the air that was getting into it, that was flickering. So now, children, there can be a question given here in this part of the paragraph. Difference between first level, second level, and the third level. What was the difference between first and second level and the third level? First, second level, what sort of attire was there? What sort of buildings were there? And in the third level, what sort of attire, what sort of buildings were there? Okay. Another difference that Charlie observed at the third level was they were brass spittoons. Children, what do you mean by spittoons? Brass means it is a metal. Spittoons are used for spitting. They are spitting pots, okay? And they were funnel shaped dustbins. They were made of brass metal. They were kept on the floor. Why were they placed there across the station? Suddenly, this was another change that he had seen, okay? The spittoons lying down there, placed there at the railway station. And suddenly, there was a glint of light. Suddenly, he saw across the station a shine. Glint means shine of light. And he saw a man was trying to pull out a gold watch from his vest. What do you mean by vest? Vest is upper inner wear. Shirt के नीचे हम white color vest पहनते हैं, isn't it? So that is upper inner wear, okay? He took out a gold watch from his vest. He snapped open the cover. As he opened the cover of that watch and he looked at the watch, and there was an expression of anger on his face. Frown. Okay, frown means an expression of anger. That man who was having this watch in his vest and who had snapped it out, who had pulled it out from his vest, he was, wearing a different attire. He wore a derby hat. Derby hat, a black 4-button suit with tiny lapels. Lapels are especially the men when they wear their full suits. I will show you in the picture what are those tiny lapels, okay? The folded part is known as lapels on the suits. And he had a big black handlebar mustache. So this is the demeanor of the person who had pulled out a watch from his vest. And his mustache was of which shape? The cycle handle, that shape mustache he had. Then suddenly Charlie looked around and he saw that everyone in the station was dressed like 1890 something. So when he had a look, he felt he was not in 1950s, rather he was in the years of 1894 when he was at the third level. Okay? End of the 18th century. I never saw so many beards. Sideburns. What are those sideburns? Sideburns are for the men, the side locks. कान के पास से जो लंबे से बाल नीचे को होते हैं जेंट्स के, that is known as sideburns. They are known as whiskers even. And fancy mustache in my life is saying I've seen number of variety of beards, the side locks, as well as the fancy mustache, the men of that period, had. Then he's describing a lady of that particular period of 18th century, 1894, ending of 18th century. A woman walked in through the train gate, and what was her attire? She was wearing a dress with leg of mutton and puffy sleeves. Leg of mutton means, puffy sleeves she had, and skirt to the top of a high buttoned. And the skirt that she was wearing, it had buttons, Back of her, out on the tracks and behind her, that lady, suddenly Charlie could see, he had a glimpse. What did he find there? He could see glimpses, a look he had, and he was able to see a locomotive there. Now children, what are these locomotives? Locomotives are the engines. He was able to see a very small Currier and Ives locomotive. So, it was a famous company in the year 1894, that made such locomotives, Ives Locomotive was the name of a company in the year 1894. So, he was able to see a funnel-shaped stack, And then I knew I was on the third level in the year 1894. So, in this way, Charlie reached the third level, and thus he described the, differences he was able to observe when he was on the third level. Seeing the locomotives, he he felt he was not, in 1950s, not in the period of 1950s, because the locomotives now do not exist, especially those funnel shaped engines, that pull the bogies behind. To make sure, now, I wanted to ascertain myself. I wanted to get the assurance I was in which period. So, what did Charlie do? He walked over at the railway station. He had seen, at the Central Railway Station, he had seen a newsboy and glanced at the stack of newspapers at his feet. Suddenly, he saw a boy with a pile of newspapers at his feet. And when he went to have a closer look, he found the newspaper title was The World. And thus he realized the World publication has discontinued. It had been published long years back, but this is not being published in 1950s. So children, are you able to get me? So thus to ascertain himself, he went to the newsboy who was selling newspapers, and he went close and he found the newspaper titled as The World, and thus he felt that paper is no more under publication. And thus the lead story, the front page, the leading page of the newspaper was describing about President Cleveland. And I have found that front page since in the public library files, they're saying, and I always had seen the front page about President Cleveland, and I've read in the public library, I have seen it was printed June 11th, 1894. Thus he came to know that he was not in the present era, in the present modern world, which is full of worries, tensions, wars, troubles, anxieties. And thus he realized he was in his fantasy, and thus he has reached, where? June 11th, 1894. So he turned towards the ticket counter. Now he came to know he was in the years, when his grandfather lived, that is in 1894. So thus he realized that as he's in 1894, now he could go back to Galesburg, his childhood city. So I turned towards, what did he do? And he knew now he could go from here to any part of US, but he didn't want to go to US, any other place of US, but rather he decided to buy 2 tickets from a ticket counter, on the 3rd level at Grand Central Railway Station, because he wanted to buy the ticket for himself as well as for his wife Louisa. And me anywhere in the United States he could go, but he thought no, he would only accompany his wife to Galesburg, and he would only buy 2 tickets to Galesburg from the 3rd level at Grand Central Railway Terminal in the year 1894. So he wanted 2 tickets to Galesburg, Illinois. Now children, in the beginning, even the author, he has written that he was in Galesburg, Illinois. So here once again the place is here. So Charlie also, the narrator too, wanted to reach this place. Have you ever been there? So now here in this paragraph, he is going to narrate, he is going to describe the days of 1894 in Galesburg. He's narrating days in Galesburg in the year 1894. He's describing how the days were during that period, and the days in 1950 compared to 1894 were quite different from, the days of 1950. He says Galesburg is a wonderful town still. It has big old structured houses, huge lawns. Children, you need to underline these things. You would get an answer here in the boards. And tremendous trees, beside the roads. large number of trees have been planted, whose branches meet overhead, and both sides of the road they are trees planted, and the branches of both these trees meet each other and they form a overhead roof. जब हम उस रोड पे से चलकर जाते हैं तो हमारे सर के ऊपर ऐसा लगता है कि उन ट्रीज़, दोनों तरफ की ट्रीज़ की ब्रांचेस के साथ एक छत फॉर्म हो चुकी है हमारे सर के ऊपर. इट इज़ जस्ट लाइक अ रूफ, द स्ट्रीट्स, रूफ ऑन द स्ट्रीट्स. एंड he continues his description. He says, in 1894, the evenings during summers were twice as long. So, twice as long, why did he say in 1894, the evenings, the summer evenings appeared to be twice as long as that of the 1950s? Why they appear to be long? Why did he assume them to be more longer? Because in 1950 the people had a busy schedule, whereas in 1894 people had ample time to share, move around and gossip with the neighbors, sit still around and enjoy their lives joyfully. Okay, children? So then he says, and in the evenings generally, people sat out on their lawns, the men smoking cigars, and men used to come out of their houses in the evenings. They used to sit in the lawns and they used to, joyfully smoke cigars and, have casual discussions. And the women, what they used to do, they too used to come out of their houses and sit and gossip, holding palm leaf fans in their hands, and they used to keep waving, हाथ का पंखा लेकर palm leaf के साथ बना हुआ, and they used to wave, because summer days they were, and during the summers generally the heat is extreme. So what they used to do, they used to simply hold those handmade palm leaf fans and they used to keep waving, हवा लेते रहते थे, with the fireflies around. And he's saying, and all around I could see that the fireflies used to keep flying. And now he's saying there was natural beauty in Galesburg during that period, and it was a peaceful world in 1894. So now you can compare both the worlds, world of 1950 as well as the world of 1894. Now he says, to be back there with the First World War. Now he's talking about, now he's saying, because 1894, the world was more peaceful in Galesburg, it was only because still the First World War would take place after 20 years and the Second World War would be taking place after 40 years. And that's the reason the environment during that period in 1894 was very peaceful. People had a lot of time. They used to intercept. They used to, develop a close bond with the neighbors. They used to share their problems. They used to, their emotions were overwhelmed, by sharing with each other. And then what did he do? And thus I decided now I wanted 2 tickets for that. And thus he decided to buy 2 tickets for Galesburg, Illinois. Okay, children? Now here, there can be a question, an important question from this particular paragraph. How were the people in Galesburg spending time in the year 1894? Okay, children? So as Charlie went to the counter to buy the 2 tickets, the clerk figured the fare. Figured means calculated the fare because he wanted only one side tickets. He glanced at my fancy hat band. He's saying, as I went to the ticket counter to buy the tickets, the clerk sitting at the ticket counter, he was looking at my fancy hat band, the hat that he was wearing. Who was wearing? Charlie. But he figured the fare, and thus he calculated the fare of the ticket, and I had enough for 2 coach tickets. And he's saying, and I had enough amount. Who had enough amount? Charlie had enough amount to pay for the 2 tickets. Only one way he wanted the tickets, not up and down. Yes, to reach Galesburg only. But when I counted out the money and looked up, the clerk was staring at me. He's saying, as I counted the money and I was about to give to the clerk, and I suddenly found the clerk was, staring at me. He nodded at the bills and he was shaking his head looking at the money that I was, the currency that I was going to pay for the tickets. But before that, the clerk said, "That ain't money, mister." He said, "Here, mister, that this currency that you are paying me would not be accepted." He said, "And if you are trying to cheat me," the clerk said to Charlie that if he was trying to cheat him by giving him the other currency which is not accepted in the present days of 1894 in Galesburg, he said, "You won't be getting very far off." He warned the clerk at the counter. He warned Charlie. He said, "If you are trying to cheat me by giving me this currency, keep it in mind, you won't be able to get away from here. I would get you arrested." And Charlie, listening to the words of the clerk, suddenly he looked at the cash drawer beside him and he saw the clerk's cash drawer. Of course, the money was old style bills, and he saw the money that Charlie had in his hand and the money that the currency that was lying, the bills, the notes that were lying down in the drawer of the clerk, they were quite different. Half again as big as the money we use nowadays. He says that money in 1894 that was lying in the drawer was, the size in 1950 of the currency used was half of what is being used, what was being used in 1894. So he felt that currency that was lying in the drawer was quite big and different looking. So Charlie turned away immediately because he was now terrified about the warning that the clerk had given him. He said, "There's nothing nice about jail, even in 1894. So he said, "Oh God, it's better I escape from here. It's better not to get arrested even in the year 1894. It's better to escape from here," because the clerk had already warned Charlie that the currency Charlie was giving him for the tickets was not in use in Galesburg. And that was that. I left the same way I came. He's saying immediately Charlie, after listening to the warning of the clerk, he immediately left the 3rd level from where he came. I suppose next day during lunch hour, I drew $300 out of the bank. Then next day immediately, as the currency was not accepted, so what did Charlie do? Next day he went again during lunch hours, he went and drew $300 out of the bank. He went to the bank and he withdrew $300. Nearly all we had and all the amount that they had in their account, he had withdrawn that amount. And he exchanged that 1950 currency that Charlie had with him, to that of the old style currency that was in use in Galesburg during that period at the 3rd level. And that really worried my psychiatrist friend. He's saying, when I withdrew the amount, my psychiatrist friend was very much worried about Charlie, because they both belonged to the 1950s. And now he was trying to exchange, Charlie was trying to exchange his amount. You can buy old money at almost any coin dealers. So what Charlie said, that the money can be exchanged at any exchange, currency exchange dealers you can meet, and you can get your currency exchanged. But only thing is you have to pay little extra charge. Premium is you have to pay extra charge when you are getting your currency exchanged. So thus he says, my $300 bought less than $200 in old style bills. He's saying when I exchanged my $300, he got back only $200 of that old style notes of 1894 that that was in use in Galesburg on the third bill, 1894. But I didn't care. I didn't bother because they knew, that it is survival is cheaper in Galesburg in the year 1894. Eggs were just 13 cents a dozen in 1894. So he thought it's okay, though I had exchanged my currency and I had to pay extra amount to get my currency exchanged. So he said it hardly matters because the living standards there are quite cheaper than the days of 1950. But I have never again found the corridor. He's saying once then he changed his currency. Then he was immediately after that, when he went to the tried to find out the same counter again, he was not able to find that same corridor that led to the third level where he wanted to exchange or buy the tickets. He says, but I've never again found the Grand Central Station terminal. So he says he had never again found this third level at Grand Central Station. That means, so he was now he was a bit worried because he was not able to find. In innumerable times he went in search of the third level, but he could not get it, that same corridor. Louisa, his wife, was very much upset regarding he's searching for the third level. When he told her all this, that he was not able to get the same corridor and didn't want me to look, and she suggested that stop looking for the third level. She suggested her husband, or Mr. Charlie, the protagonist, not to look for the third level anymore. Okay, now here there's again a twist, children. You have to remember here. See, what did she had just advised him not to look for the third level. So, and after a while I stopped, and as his wife suggested, gave him a good advice not to look for the third level, let us be happy. And he stopped looking for the third level. And then what did he do? Then once again he went back, he took up, he took to stamp collection and found his way. So what did he begin to do? Once again he took to flat lay. As in the beginning, his friend Sam Werner, what did he suggest? That collection of stamp or pursuing the hobby of collecting stamps is also, what is it? It is also a way to escape the realities existing in a person's life. Now, something strange happened. What was that twist? Suddenly, what happened? See, already wife told him not to look for the third level. Okay, then he started again collecting his stamps. He was again into it. That is, he was, again in that illusion, or he was in his fantasy, in his own fantasy world. But now, something strange happened. But now, we were both looking every weekend, because now we have proof that the third level is still there. Now something strange happened. What was that strange thing that had happened there? His friend, see here, because now we have proof that there exists the third level still. How did they come to know that there is the existence of third level? He says his friend Sam Werner suddenly disappeared from 1950. He found that he was not able to find his friend Sam Werner. Now nobody knew where Sam Werner had disappeared. But I sort of suspicion because Sam's a city boy. But Charlie was in suspicion and he was very much sure that Sam was a city boy, and thus whenever Charlie used to describe about Galesburg to Sam Werner, he took keen interest in listening about the description of Galesburg, and he used to get fascinated about the environment of Galesburg. So thus now Charlie is a bit suspicious because Sam is a city boy. Where could he have gone? I went to school there and he always said he liked the sound of the place. Now when I used to describe about Galesburg to my friend during my school days, now Charlie is saying that my friend always used to get fascinated, and he said he liked the sound of that particular place as it was amidst nature and the fireflies flying around. We have just read in the previous part, palm leaf fans ladies used to wave. Okay, then the men used to spend their time joyfully smoking the cigars, and then both sides of the roads there were trees planted, and both the branches formed a roof over the heads when the pedestrians used to walk on the roads, right? So thus he says sound of the place, and that's where he's all right in 1894, and thus he felt that maybe that Charlie felt that maybe he might have gone to Galesburg because he had a special fascination for it. Thus, Charlie suspected that Sam Werner had gone to Galesburg. Charlie finds himself in the time space of 1894. Because one night, fussing with his stamp collection, Charlie found, well, do you know what a first day cover is? See, in that collection of his grandfather's, which Charlie had continued to pursue the same collection, one day he found a first day cover. Now children, there can be a question given to you, a short question. What do you mean by first day cover? This is, underline these lines, when a new stamp is issued by any postal department, stamp collectors, the people or the men or the human beings who are into philately or who pursue the stamp collection hobby, buy immediately the newly issued stamp and use them to mail envelopes to themselves. What do? They paste that particular stamp, the newly issued stamp, on an envelope, and they mail an address to themselves on the very first day of the sale or the issue of that particular stamp. And the postmark proves the date, and then a seal is put up in the post office, and thus that seal proves the date, that on which date that particular stamp was issued. So this is the first day cover. The envelope is called a first day cover. They are never opened because you don't write anything on it. You just put blank paper in the envelope, paste the newly issued stamp, mail it on your own address, and then get it sealed. Now, what do you mean by the word fussing, children? When one day when he was fussing with his stamp collection. Fussing means to show unnecessary concern for something. Okay? Now, the same night, Charlie came across a first day cover. So when he was fussing around with his collection, he he encountered a first day cover. It is an envelope with a stamp on it. The stamp collectors mail to themselves on the first day of its sale to mark the date. They are just blank inside and are not meant to be opened. Got it? And that same night, he found by surprise one of his grandfather's old first day covers. So, what happened? The same night, he was, fussing his old collection of his grandfather's, and which he is continuing now, the same collection. He found one that should not have been there. He found one first day cover which should not have been there, but it was lying inside that collection. Why did he say this? Because he had never come across this first day cover earlier in his life. It was there because someone had mailed it to Charlie's grandfather at his home in Galesburg. It was addressed to Charlie's grandfather. That's what the address on the envelope said. And it had been there since July 18, 1894. Got it, children? So, what was the date mentioned? 18th July 1894. The postmark showed this date. When it was mailed, this first cover was mailed, the date mentioned on it was July 18th, 1894. And now I would like to tell you, when Charlie reached the third level, what was the date that day? It was June 11th, 1894. Okay? So now, the postmark showed that, see the difference, only that few days difference is there when this mail has been mailed to Charlie's grandfather, and when Charlie had, experienced the third level. That was 18th June, and this is 18th July. Okay? Sorry, that was 11th June 1894, and this is 18th July 1894. Then he says, yet I didn't remember it at all. And he's saying, I don't remember at all. Okay? Because he did not see it earlier. Charlie had not encountered the same first day cover earlier in his collections. So that's what he had used this context. Yes, I didn't remember it at all. And the stamp pasted on the envelope was a 6-cent dull brown color with a picture of President Garfield. So naturally, when the envelope came to Granddad in the mail, it went right into his collection and stayed there. He's saying naturally the envelope arrived and it was placed in his collections. Till I took it out and opened it. He's saying, so that envelope was lying down there inside the collection, and the day Charlie took it out, thus he came to know. And the paper was, that envelope was not empty at all. There was, a content written in it, what it read. There was a paper, there was a letter inside the envelope. Generally, first day covers do not have any content inside the envelopes. But this first day cover that he encountered among his collection of the stamps, he found a letter inside the envelope. So, what did the letter read? Charlie, I got to wishing that you were right. So he says, so who is Sam Werner? Sam Werner is the person who had given his observation regarding the third level when, in the beginning, when Charlie had, consulted his psychiatrist friend Sam Vanner regarding his visit, his experience to the third level. So, what did he write in that letter, Sam Vanner? Children, try to understand. It's that, Charlie, you were right. See, now here he's trying to prove his theory of third level here. You were right means whose theory? Charlie's theory of third level. Because Charlie was, very much sure that he had experienced the third level. But during Sam Vanner's observation, he said that there is no third level existing on the Grand Central Railway Terminal. There are only two levels, as the lower level and the upper level, and they are all underground railway stations. Then he said, then I got to believing you were right. He said, and I believe that you were right. And Charlie, it's true. I found the third level. And he said that he had found the third level. So, children, what do you come to know from this? You come to know that Sam Vanner had found the third level. Down the street at the Tallies, someone is playing a piano. Then now he's describing, Sam Vanner is describing, he's giving the description of the place where he's now residing there. He's saying he had been living there for the last 2 weeks. And then he's describing there are men who are busy playing a piano and they are all out on the front porch singing, Seeing Nellie Home. And he's saying they are all, sitting in the porch. He's describing that he is in 1894, Sam Vanner is in 1894, and he's giving the description of, Galesburg, that now he's able to see the people sitting in the porch and singing, Seeing Nellie Home. What is this Seeing Nellie Home? Children, this is a famous American song sung during the year 1894. It is a famous American song. And he even added that he too had been invited. Who had been invited? Sam Vanner had been invited over for a lemonade party. Then he advises Charlie, he tells him, come on back. You two, come here, reach Galesburg. Charlie and Louisa, he said, keep looking till you find the third level. So he says, do not stop searching for the third level. See, I assure you there is the existence of the third level, and I had reached Galesburg. I had come out through that and I've reached Galesburg now. Keep looking till you find the third level. It's worth it. Believe me. So thus he, gives the existence of third level. And this particular note, this letter, it was signed by Sam. Okay. Now this is the mystery. How did Sam Vanner, his psychiatrist friend who lived in the modern world of 1950, how did he reach 1894? This is what is the time space. Got it? So, now, next day, he went to the currency shop. Who went? Charlie, the protagonist of the story. At the stamp and coin store I go to. He's saying he visited this at the stamp and coin stores he went to, and he inquired and he found out that Sam bought $800 worth of old style currency. Thus he came to know from the coin store that Sam had exchanged $800 worth currency and bought the old style currency from there. From that coin store, wherever the currency is exchanged, a currency shop, okay? That ought to set him up in a nice little hair. And why did he exchange this currency? Because Sam Werner, he wanted to set up his new business, a nice little hay feed. He wanted to set up a new business of hay feed and grain business. Got it? He always said that's what he really wished he could do. And Charlie is saying that Sam, in the years of 1950, he always used to tell him that he always wanted to do this sort of business, like of hay feed and grain business, in a peaceful environment where there was peace, ample of time near the people. They did not have those busy schedules and did not follow the rat race. There was no anxiety. He wanted to live in such an environment. So that's what Charlie says. And he certainly can't go back to his old business. Now, because Sam Werner is already in 1894. So, in 1894, there was no need of a psychiatrist. Got it? Because people were peaceful. There were no wars. There was no anxiety. Right? There were no problems, no such critical situations existing during that period. So, there was no need of a psychiatrist in the year 1894. So, he didn't want to take up his old business there, not in Galesburg, Illinois. And that's the reason he could not be a psychiatrist there, because there was no use of psychiatrists in the year 1894. There was peace all around. His old business. Why? Sam was my psychiatrist. So that's what, though Sam was his psychiatrist, he had observed Charlie when he had gone to consult him regarding his visit to the third level, and now he cannot continue to be a psychiatrist there because in Galesburg, there is peace all around. Thus, the story, children, ends here with a mystery. The third level ends here with a mystery, children. Was it Charlie's hallucination, or was it his fantasy, or was it his imagination? Now, to prove this, there's a line here. See here, that ought to set him up in a nice little hay, feed and grain business. He always said that's what he really wished he could do. See, this context reflects that in the years of 1950, when Sam Werner and Charlie used to meet, they oftenly, discussed about Galesburg, and thus Charlie, apparently with an apparent perception, feels that maybe he had, this line is trying to reflect that maybe it is Charlie's imagination, because he has here clearly mentioned, he always said that's what he really wished he could do. So he's trying to recall that whenever he met Sam Werner, so Sam Werner always used to tell him that he wants to go to Galesburg and settle down with a new business there. He wants to set up a new business of hay feed and grain business. So now, children, this statement proves that maybe it is the hallucination of, Charlie, the protagonist of the story. It can be his fantasy. Whatever he spoke to Sam Werner, he's trying to, imagine that maybe Sam Werner too had disappeared to Galesburg and set up his new business. So the chapter is ending here with a mystery. It is on you to decide whether it was his hallucination, his fantasy, or was it his just simple imagination. Whatever he imagines, he is able to see all that. So that is what is hallucination. Okay? So, hope you have followed. Children, I hope you can do a petty favor by pressing on the bell icon and prescribing the channel. Any doubts, you can throw a comment in the comment box. Thank you. With this, we end the explanation of third level, and after this explanation, I think the complete chapter would be clear to you and all the questions you would be able to answer. But before I depart, I would like to tell you one thing. After one more chapter, I would definitely give you few questions from every chapter so that it would be convenient and easy for you to write the other answers of the other questions you would be able to solve it yourself after doing those few questions from each and every chapter. So goodbye, take care, keep yourself protected, do not unnecessarily step out of the house, stay indoors. Good day to all of you. Bye.